Life before St. Petersburg. The region around the Nevia was originally known as Izora, which derives from the native language of the region, which the people spoke a Finnish language. The first recorded town in Izora was Legda, later called Staria Legdoga, in the 8th century. By one account, legendary Rudrik, Prince of Novgorod, had been there and was in form of Prince Olgiev, set off to Kiev to establish the Kievan Russian state in 882. From the early 10th century, the Azorki region was ruled by Novgorod. Novgorod prospered because the Nevia was located at the northern end of Kievan Russia's trade route from the Vikings to the Greeks, stretching from the Vangarian or Viking Sea and now the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. And thus the mouth of Nevia had key economic and strategic importance. Arab coins dating from the 9th and 10th century have been found on Volesky Island. Novgorod's possession of this section of the route was of the main reason for the city's wealth and influence and led to membership in its Hanseatic League. Ships entered the Nevia from the sea. They sailed upriver to Lake Ladoga, along the south shore of the lake to the Volkhov River, downriver to Novgorod. Novgorodians built boats for trade and also served as local pilots to guide foreign vessels through the dangerous waters of the Volkhov River, Lake Ladoga, and the Nevia, and the sea channels at its mouth. To protect its route in 1114, Novgorod fortified the Ladoga, where the Volkhov River enters Lake Ladoga. On the island called Kronostad, Novgorod established a maritime watch post from which escorts met foreign ships entering the area and guided them upriver. In addition to the river route to Novgorod, there was also a land route, the Great Novgorod Road, beginning along the Ligolsky Prospect in St. Petersburg. From the 12th and the 4th centuries, Sweden challenged Novgorod for control of the Nevia Islands and the trade route. By one account, between 1142 and 1446, Novgorod had fought the Swedes 26 times. But the Swedes were not the only enemy. Pope Innocent III had founded the Teutonic and Livonian orders, which emerged in 1237, to Catholicize and subjugate the Baltic islands. In 1237, the Pope issued a bull call for a crusade against the pagan Finns and Russians at that time. Under this pretext, a Sweden expedition under the command of the Swedish general Jarl Birger was launched to conquer Novgorod and Latinize the population. But the Novgorodian prince Alexander Yaroslavich defeated him on the banks of the Neva in 1240, and thus became the history of Alexander Nevsky. According to the popular tradition, the battle took place on the site of the future Alexander Nevsky Monastery in St. Petersburg, though in fact it was fought somewhat upstream near the mouth of the Azor River. Seeking to reverse Sweden's defeat, the Tetuans then marched forward towards Novgorod in 1242. But Nevsky defeated them on the famous battle on the ice on Lake Peipus, later portrayed in the classic Eisenstein film with its score by Prokofiev. According to Novgorodian chronicles, a 1,300 Swedish force under the command of Swedish Marshal Torgil Knutsev, founder of Viborg, landed at the junction of the Okata River and the Neva on the site of the future Nyenstadt, on the Holy Day of Trinity, which 4 centuries later would also be the founding of St. Petersburg. Using Italian architecture from the Vatican to accompany the force, Knutsen established a fortress there named Land of the Crown, but Novgorodian forces under the command of Alexander Nevsky's son Andrei razed the fortress within a year. In 1323, Novgorod fortified Okriev Island, where the Nevia flows from Lake Ladoga, naming the fortress Orkshikt, around which a set of traders and craftsmen grew up there, but became the center of the Uzgori region. In 1348, the Swedes launched an attack against Orishek, where they were repelled after the territory of Neva remained solidly in Novgorodian hands for 2 centuries. Orishek grew into a flourishing town of craftsmen and traders, which boasted about 152 residents, 2 monasteries, and 4 churches. The Novgorodians held on against Sweden for a long time. Novgorod's subjugation, however, came at hands of Muscovy, which was absorbed into 1471. Moscow treated the conquered region as a hinterland, and it lay exposed to attack. But the area continued to grow under Russians and later the Swedes. According to Novgorodian records, in 1400, the territory of the future St. Petersburg, where there were 149 settlements, 144 residents, in which 1,000 males, and by the 1500 figures, 1,000 residents, 1,500 male residents. The total population, including women and children, was probably at least double that figure. What became the main settlement arose at the junction of the Oka and Nevia rivers, near the site of the Kutsin's Langerstrafa, or the Land of the Crown. But the new town was known as Mouth of Neva. In 1500, it had only about 15 dwellings, but at the time the Oka was navigable. The town grew quickly and became a lively trading post and port, which later continued under Swedish occupation. The Baltic area was again contested during the Livonian War, begun by Ivan the Terrible, in 1558 to establish a Russian foothold in the Baltic, lasting through the time of troubles. Sweden occupied the Nevia region in the first years of the 17th century, and Muscovy eventually lost the war in 1617, and the Stalbid ceded to Sweden all the Baltic islands, including those around the Neva and the Lake Lagoda. Azora, known as Ingra or Ingelmardan, Erlen, was renamed Noltberg, and the main Russian town, the mouth of the Nevia, was renamed Nien. Sweden's General Delegardi, who had held the town since well before the treaty, proposed to Augustus Adolphus to fortify it, aided the tax privileges granted by the crown. The town could prosper and grow on the trade. Its fortress was built by 1611, having a diameter of a nearly kilometer and a garrison of 500 to 600 soldiers. In a manner that anticipated Peter the Great's method of raising labor to build St. Petersburg, in 1679, the Swedish king, Charles, decreed that every able-bodied peasant in the Ingra and Karelia had to spend 1 month laboring on the fortress. The Swedish trade development efforts succeeded, and by the 1630s, Nien boasted nearly 400 buildings in and outside the fortress, including 2 Lutheran churches, 1 Finnish, 1 Swedish, located mainly across the Okata River, connected by drawbridge. Nien's port flourished, receiving about at least 50 foreign ships a year. The town had a large trading fleet, in which was one of the probably exaggerated counts in number of hundreds. In 1632, Sweden accorded Nien the status of a town with its own coat of arms, consisting of a line shredding the 2 rivers, the Neva and the Oka. Soon after the start of the Great Northern War, a major Swedish merchant, Nien Frisius, extended Charles V a large loan to refinance his war against Peter the Great's Russia. Immediately before Peter's conquest of the town, the number of dwellings in Nien had risen to about 450, and the population had grown to 4,000. Most of Nien's residents were Russian, and in the 1630s the Orthodox parish was formed in a town to serve them. As tensions rose between Sweden and Russia, however, taxes, increases, and other discriminatory policies were introduced against the Russian merchants, which lasted until Peter's arrival. By 1700, numerous settlements besides Nien had arisen on the territory of present-day St. Petersburg, located on the highest, driest, most desirable sites. Peter initially built on them since they were in natural locations, and it was easier and more economical to begin with partially developed sites. They included the Strekla, or the spit of the Veliseski Island, and the future sites of the Summer Garden, the Admiralty, the Smolny Court, Alexander Nevsky Monastery, and Trinity Square.